Like this, like incredible. The genesis of this dish came about because we were trying to think of what is the simplest possible recipe for roast chicken. Like so simple that you could text it to a friend. Oven temperature, enough salt, and the cooking vessel, I think have a lot to do with your ultimate outcome. So first step before you season the bird is to pat it dry. This is already looking fairly dry. Drier meat is gonna get browner. The other thing that you can do is to season the chicken in advance. I like to season the cavity first. There's no real art or science to this, but just kind of get it in there. That is gonna season the meat from the inside out. So now that's just gonna sit there and rest for a sec, okay? So tying the legs, it's as much like a presentation thing, you know, as anything else. Also, that'll mean the chicken's a little bit more upright, and I like to tuck the wingtips behind and underneath the breast. An additional little coating of fat is not essential, but fat helps transfer heat. And a light coating like this is gonna better channel the heat of the oven to the skin of the chicken. It's gonna give you a little bit more rendering, and it's gonna give you a little bit more browning. Oh, we didn't even do the most important thing. We gotta turn the oven on. Hot oven, all right? And I'm gonna preheat the oven with the cast iron right in there, all right? Let's go get a cast iron. I'm usually looking for one that's like nicely seasoned, you know, but no like kind of like too many crusties like around the edge there. This is looking pretty good. Actually, you know what? Adjust the rack now, okay? Like before the oven's hot. This is a little bit higher than I need it to be. All right, so we're good there. Wait, no, we're not good there. The cast iron needs to go in the oven. Great talk. All right, now we're good. I thought this was a simple roast chicken. So we're just gonna melt some butter so it's like melted and just like slightly cooled. Okay, wonderful. Now, thinly slicing the potatoes. So thinner sliced potatoes are gonna equal crispier potatoes up to a point. You don't have to stress making these as thin as possible. It's more about getting them like a pretty consistent 1/8 of an inch thick than it is about anything else. Don't try to saw back and forth. Try, you know, to just start at the tip and work your way down. Okay, next step. Picking leaves off of thyme. You can basically just like run your fingers down and strip the whole thing like in one go. That is like the thyme dream. It will never ever be this good. I have peaked and this video is now over. Got our melted butter going in. Obviously the reason for melting the butter is it's gonna allow the butter to be dispersed evenly through the potatoes. So that's just a tablespoon of olive oil, and we just want like a critical mass of fat coating all of these potatoes. It's gonna create crispier edges, it's gonna create more browning, and it's frankly worth taking the time. So I'm gonna put the thyme in here. It's worth taking the time to really move these around by hand and make sure the fat is coating all of the cut faces. Some freshly ground black pepper, maybe a pinch more salt. Okay, so we are ready to put all this in the oven. So this is a hot skillet. It's preheated. We can drop this chicken in using a hot preheated cast iron. You're starting the cooking process underneath the chicken very quickly rather than putting it into a cold pan and having to have the whole thing come up together. Just giving it like a little squirt of oil, just it's gonna be further insurance that the chicken's not gonna stick to the skillet. So now potatoes can just go in there. They're gonna cook for a good long time, so they will cook through. So it starts out looking like a lot of potatoes, but they're gonna shrink, okay? And then this can go back in, and it's heavy, so just be careful. Ooh. Oh, wow. This is what I'm talking about. You've got like these wonderful crispy, crunchy edges, top and bottom, because like you've also got the potatoes that are in contact with that hot skillet. Color looks nice, skin looks good, everything's like pleasantly rendered, you know, underside looks good, feeling it. Know what I love about this? Like, you know, normally you roast chicken with vegetables, one thing is kind of excelling at the expense of another. Both things here are looking pretty slamming. Okay. The other thing that I like about this recipe, even though, you know, of course, like you're going to get a little bit of like excess sort of liquid coming out of the chicken here, but that you can just use to sort of dress the carved meat and potatoes like as it goes onto your plate. It's going to be concentrated. It's going to be super flavorsome. In fact, we don't have to wonder, right? So it's easy to be intimidated by carving a chicken, frankly. However you do it, even if the way you do it is by like ripping hunks of meat off of the bird, that's fine. I prefer, generally speaking, to start by taking the legs off, okay? You can see there's still plenty of moisture in there, okay? And resting it, not carving into it immediately after it comes out of the oven is gonna help retain that moisture. Now, once the legs are out of the way, it's a lot easier to carve the breast meat off the bones. Honestly, my favorite part is just like when your hands are all like chickeny, it's just like run them along the bird and just like grab a little bite. Honestly, that's like the benefit of like, you know, being the one who cooks all the time. You get all those like tasty little bites that nobody even has to know about. So now you've got like your beautiful carved roast chicken, and you still have all that wonderful potatoy business. Now this looks like a little bit of like a scene from Dexter, but that's cool. We're gonna get cleaned up and then we can plate, all right? These undersides of potato where it's kind of roasted, you know, and like captured like the direct heat at the bottom of the cast iron, the range of flavors and textures here is just absolutely supreme. All right, chicken is plated. Inez, do you wanna come over? Try some roast chicken. I guess this is as good a time as any to ask, do you like roast chicken?
I love roast chicken.
Okay, because I was about to get real awkward if you said anything else. Do you want the wing or do you want like no wing?
I'll take no wing.
Okay.
I'm definitely intrigued by the sort of like crispy potato action going on here. Really loving the crunch in there, the butter, the herb.
Sometimes you get like great roast chicken, but it's hard to build in like a side dish with it. At the risk of puffing myself up here, I feel like you've like, you know, you're able to get both.
It's very family meal. It feels very like I'm about to sit down with my family. You know, everyone's getting a little part. I think there's something in it for everyone. Mm-hmm. But it comes together very well. I think it's really genius to have the potatoes under the chicken and sort of like all of those juices and like that fat coming down.
This is a really simple, very approachable recipe that I truly think most people can tackle. And, you know, doing it like in the cast iron setup, like that's something that's like an easy, like very inexpensive tool to have in your kitchen that is gonna completely change the way you do like more than just roast chicken, but also roast chicken.
Just drew this.
Jessica drew this?
Yes.
Oh, it's a diagram of the chicken.
I need like a compass legend on there. Is this north? Where's true north?
North,